Well, welcome back to another episode of a Curiously Good podcast. As always, I'm Noah J. Matthews, and I'll be your host today. Today, we're doing something different. Today, I'll be reviewing a movie I used to believe was evil, corrupting, and designed to destroy the minds of children. Well, I watched it, and turns out the film is a piece of media displaying religion in a way most Christian books and movies just haven't. What movie is it, you ask? Pixar's Soul. Today's episode is brought to you by Copper Lies by Ali Prince, a tale of a teenage girl who accidentally brings a mechanical dragon to life. Let's dive into today's episode. This isn't your granddad's Christian fiction. It's time to find and celebrate the good stuff, the kingdom writers who are breaking boundaries and eating stereotypes for breakfast. It's time to show the world what a new generation of Christian writers has to offer. It's time to show them something curiously good. There's curiously good kingdom literature all around us, some of it old, some of it being written as we speak. Welcome to a kingdom-minded conversation for readers. Let's talk about the good, the bad, the holy, the profane. And let's have fun while we do it. Imagine it's 2020 again. I know it's painful, but let's just remember. Everything is shut down on account of the pandemic, and Pixar has a massive movie already at the front of the pipeline. Soul, a fantasy dramedy set in the heart of New York City, shows us the journey of an inspiring jazz musician Soul, played by Jamie Foxx, after he falls into a manhole and dies. Since everything is shut down, Pixar has to release the movie straight to Disney+, which leads to sales that, though better than most direct-to-streaming, were significantly less than his budget. So, in other words, it was a flop. Since then, the movie has been both loved and hated by Christians and unbelievers alike. Christians often criticize its New Age themes. However, as we'll uncover today, Soul's themes aren't so New Age as they are humid. Almost, I dare say, kingdom. My first experience with the movie is actually quite vivid. So I was living at home in Grayling, Michigan, with my parents and now 7 younger siblings. Gotta count, right? And I saw the little stickers for the movie. They were on the bananas that my mom brought home from the store. They were of the main character Joe and a little greenish blobby person and a big fluffy calico cat. One way or another, I came to believe, not 100% sure how, but I came to believe that Soul was the first Pixar movie with an openly gay character, and it was a roguish attempt by the studio to stuff their politics down kids' throats. That was what I originally believed. Later, I read on a writing forum that Soul, while not containing gay characters, was quite new age and involved the main character talking to the embodiment of the universe at the end of the movie, where the universe tells him that humans are silly looking for the meaning of life. Instead, life has no meaning. It's an end to itself. At least, that was how I remembered the article. Don't remember if those were the exact words that they used. But such was what I believed until I moved out and bought Disney Plus for myself, mainly to watch Star Wars and Marvel movies. But after watching the trailer, I was intrigued by the stunning visuals and mix of African American culture, jazz music, which I love, and a fantastical, stylized rendering of the afterlife. Needless to say, I watched the movie and cried several times during the film, and am, in a way, forever changed. Not to sound too dramatic. So, Soul follows the life of Joe Gardner, an aspiring musician who believes his only purpose in life is to play music. He's stuck between the tension of a steady job teaching middle schoolers and his dream to play jazz piano at the famous half note. Then he dies in a comedic accident and we embark on an adventure in the afterlife, a terrified escape from the bright, great beyond, and a journey into the great before, a realm where new souls are given personalities and have to search for their spark to become Earth ready. It's there that Joe finds our other primary character, soul number 22, sassy, unmotivated, and afraid to go to Earth. She's had countless mentors over the centuries, from Plato to Abe Lincoln, and nobody has been able to help her find her spark. She's hopeless, in other words. Over the course of the movie, Joe and 22 are guided back to Earth by a hippie guru who gets Joe to meditate on where his body is, in a coma in the New York City hospital. Joe and 22 are stuck back on Earth. So 22 in Joe's body and Joe in a therapy cat's body, which ends up being a very comedic element through the story. But the rest of the movie is spent trying to get them unswitched. But in the process, 22 discovers a love for Earth while in Joe's body, eating pizza, listening to music, and just walking. As 22 gets closer to discovering her spark, Joe is more frantic about getting back in his body. However, all this time, Terry, the unscrupulous accountant of the spirit world, has been hunting them. And he finally catches them, returning 22 to the great before and Joe Gardner to his body. It's then that Joe learns that the spark isn't a passion, a dream job, but rather it's just regular old living, something that 22 had learned during her time on Earth. In the end, it wraps up neatly where 22 becomes Earth ready and goes to our planet to get born, and Joe is returned once again to his body, where, when asked what he's going to do with his second chance at life, he replies, "I'm not sure, but I do know I'm going to live every minute of it." So that's the movie in a nutshell. If you already watched it, sorry for repeating everything, but if you haven't, now you have the context to enter into the conversation. Throughout the movie, Joe is unfulfilled. He's looking for the meaning in life. He thinks it's jazz, his gifting, which is pretty much all that he loves or even thinks about. 22, on the other hand, has sort of the opposite problem. She's got no idea what her spark is, and because of that, she concludes that it's all meaningless, and she's better off just not living, not going to Earth and getting born and all that stuff. The irony, though, is that they're both not really living. Joe is trapped in an unfulfilling life, and 22 is trapped in an unfulfilling before life. In the end, Joe and 22 both discover that the purpose of life isn't necessarily some grand purpose or dream, but rather life itself. They realize that what they were made to do is live. First and foremost, sure, Joe will play jazz, and sure, 22 will find something that really interests her, but their purpose, the bottom line, the reason they were put on Earth, is to live. Now, I do want to say this does and should raise some red flags for Christian readers like us who know that God gave us gifts and callings, and our purpose in life is to love God and glorify Him through all we do. And that's all good. That's all true. However, in Soul, Pixar shows us a theme that many of us have forgotten. That God put us on Earth not just to wait for heaven, but to live life with Him here and now, to experience it. If all God wanted for us to do was to go to heaven, then He would have never made the earth. This is something powerful that I kind of think that we've forgotten in the church. Yes, we wait for heaven. Yes, this broken world is not our home. But even so, God did make the world, and He will make a new earth, not just a new heaven. Why? I think it's because He thinks this physical universe is kind of important. That the spirit world wasn't quite complete without a physical world. And beyond that, the theme in Soul of appreciating the little things of life, the fact that we can actually walk and eat and praise God with voices that come out of physical lungs is something I think we all need a little bit more of. So, wait a second, Noah, you say, I thought you said Soul displays religion in a way most Christian movies haven't. Explain yourself. Well, thanks for reminding me. Here it is. Really simple. Soul portrays spirituality and the afterlife in a way that remains entertaining. Plenty of people who love this story don't believe in the afterlife or any spirituality of any kind. So how does that work? How did Pixar show religion, albeit not the correct one, in a way that didn't turn the average viewer away? Here's my thought. Soul doesn't try to prove its religion. It's just an observable, visually stunning fact that we can take or leave. It doesn't say, Joel doesn't have to wrestle with the fact that an afterlife exists. He simply appears there and then deals with the challenges that come from that. Because what Soul does try to prove is the emotional journey of the characters. That is, I argue, the reason why the movie can be all about the afterlife without shoving anything down our throat. I mean, why do we read books? Why do we watch movies? To be entertained, I'd proffer. What is entertainment? I think Daniel Schwabauer, he's the creator of the one-year adventure novel curriculum. I think he said it best. And he said, I'm going to paraphrase, that people read books to feel something, to have an emotional experience. By that definition, if they don't feel anything, then it's a failure. If we do feel something when we read the story, it's a success. Now, why is it so hard to connect with some of the Christian media out there? I think it's because they've changed the purpose of a story from feel something to learn something, which immediately moves the story's themes from our heart up into our head. And intellectual ideas are easy to battle. But when something touches our heart, we melt. Not only did I cry while watching Soul, but afterward I was reeling for a full hour, just around my house, no clue what to do. Total emotional shock and awe. I don't think I've ever been touched by a movie that strongly. And I will admit, I cry for a lot of movies. But none of them quite touch my heart the way that little blobbish soul stepping into reality and saying, you know what? I'm going to choose to live this life like it's worth something. Not because life is just a vehicle for a cooler, more important purpose, but because life is, in and of itself, even in this broken state, important, fun, exciting, and powerful. Even tasting a leaf or walking the dog is a real, tangible gift from God that I ignore time and time again. But now I'm going to appreciate it for what it really is. And that's the power of a story that goes for the heart instead of the head. The movie never said those words, but I felt them because they didn't strike my head with their theology, but instead they touched my heart so strongly that I had to roll that feeling and thought around in my heart and then in my head and back into my heart again until I could filter that feeling through my own theology and express it as a new idea out of a real changed heart. I want to live differently because of Soul. For real, I'm not joking here. Because that's what kingdom literature should do. It should hit our hearts and make us grapple with new feelings just beyond our expression. Then we should move it to our head and have to make a decision. Will we convert our ideology to accept this feeling, or will we reinterpret the feeling so that it fits our ideology? Either way, in this case, where Christian media is doing this, where it's hitting the soul, hitting the heart, not the head. Either way, a soul, again, pun intended, is reached with something that they can feel. And if that something is a piece of the gospel, then that soul leaves changed instead of angry. I don't want to read more books that just attack my head with the gospel and make the characters cry, but not me. I want to read stories that are like Soul, stories that capture a feeling, that touch a heart, and use theology as sort of a backdrop. Hey, maybe, if you're curious, here's the answer to that feeling that you just felt, this backdrop. While Soul isn't quite kingdom literature, its storytelling is something I can't wait to see come out of Christian circles. Can't you? Now, if you're looking for kingdom literature that does themes different, then you're going to love today's sponsor, Copper Lies by Allie Prince. From the back of the book, one secret can lead to so many lies. If you make something, and then that something accidentally comes alive and destroys your entire town, would it be fair to say that you destroyed the town? Or can we just blame it on the thing? Lillian Booker is dying to experiment on the strange glowing rocks hidden inside her adopted father's workshop, but the professor forbid it before he left on his journey. As Lillian learns all she can about the stones without breaking the professor's rule, she finds herself stuck between two worlds. Will she live the life of a brilliant inventor, or give up on her dreams and become a respectful lady instead? What will make her happy? Most importantly, which will prove to the professor that he didn't make a mistake when he chose her? When Lillian secretly builds a mechanical dragon, one mistake leads to another. The strange glowing stones and her creation collide. Her dragon roars to life. Lillian must make a choice. Lie and keep her dragon a secret, or finally face the truth? Will any of it matter anyways, if the town's already been destroyed? While I'm not usually a reader of YA fiction, I will say the book has powerful themes. Without spoiling anything, I will say that by the end, you feel it. You feel the themes run home. Copper Lies doesn't attack your head. Instead, it taps on your heart. So, once again, I'm Noah J. Matthews, and this is the Curiously Good Podcast. You made it this far, so make sure you're liking, subscribing, and commenting. For a weekly dose of Curiously Good literature, hop over to the Pearl at pearlmag.co and make sure you subscribe. Just by listening, you're contributing to better kingdom media. To sponsor an episode, email us at advertise@pearlmag.co. We'll catch you later.